And welcome to Hero Power. I'm your host, Avantes, and as always, I'm joined by my co-hosts, ZachO.
So, Avantes, you're like that guy in the Western that gets shot because he forgot to load his 6-shooter after the last gunfight?
It happens, man. And Versika.
I think the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result, right?
Then never let it be said, I am sane.
And if you don't know what we're talking about, you definitely should check out our live shows Wednesday nights at 7:30 over at twitch.tv/ECMMO Gamers. You'll get to see all the bloopers and mistakes Avantes makes.
You'll laugh, you'll cry, editing. You'll wonder how we ever did this to begin with.
162 episodes later.
How the sausage is made, folks. How the sausage is made.
Oh, we've got a great show lined up for you guys this week. Got a little bit of news to talk about, so we're going to try to move through that pretty quick. And then we're going to play some Wild this week in the deck portion of the show. What do you got, ZachO?
First off, before we get started in the show, I want to give a shout out to Matt at Arms. We would love for him to be here this week, but he's got some weather related stuff going on at home and was not able to do the show tonight. We're with you. Hope you're safe. We'll see you next week.
Yep, absolutely. So, all right. We have no new emails or iTunes reviews, so let's jump right into the news. As we talked about last week, this past weekend was the final NA playoffs for this season, or for this year, I guess. And it was for the Americas. We still have APAC next weekend, but this weekend's event, or this past weekend's event, was really interesting. We'll call it interesting. We have 4 players advancing to the Winter Championships. We have Ike, who has been around for a while. He's a pretty well-known player. We have Noblord, who a lot of people know from the Tespa, that's the word I was looking for. And he's also been around in the tournament scene for quite a while. Then we had a relatively, for me at least, unknown in Bobby X qualify. And then the 4th finalist for Winter Championships was our good friend Bloodyface.
Yes.
I could not be more excited for him.
I'm really excited. He's come a long way. We'll talk a little bit more about that. But this does bring up an interesting situation. Bloodyface actually ended up qualifying after beating Killing All Day as the last decider match. And if either one of those had qualified, we would have 3 players: Viper, Bunny Hopper, and now Bloodyface, going to Winter Championships that have already qualified for Worlds. So it's brought a lot of clarification, and they've gone to Twitter. People have said, what if one of those players makes the top 4, or who knows, all 3 of those players make the top 4, what happens next? And they did clarify, I believe the Hearthstone Esports tweeted a clarification, which I had talked about last week, that they would do another seeding of the 5th through 8th place to decide those remaining spots. So definitely watch the Winter Championships. Obviously, we have APAC region. I'm not sure who all there could possibly qualify, but we might have even more that are qualifying for Winter Championships that could be qualified for Worlds, which would make this a very interesting seasonal championship. We have had, like one person in the top 16 that make it to the seasonal championship. One to note, Viper, that could have done this, but we've never had this many in a season. And this is a great way to end the HCT system for the 2018 season.
Versika, what you wanted to add?
Nothing. I watched watched the replay while I was at work, and it's and we have it in our notes to make sure to talk about Noblord versus Bloodyface, and that's the match that I keep going back to.
Oh yeah.
Out of all the matches, that one was. I feel like that one, he could have gone Bloodyface's way so many times, and he just could not catch a break. And
Sure.
It was interesting because you could see that Noblord, he in a lot of ways he reminds me of Casey in the way that he kind of wears his emotions on his face, and you could see that he was like pained, like he knew all Bloodyface needed to do in two separate matches was draw one card and it was over, and he just he kept his composure, he remembered his outs, and I mean, to me it showed two players who, even though there was an RNG element involved in what they were doing, there was still strategy going on, and you could see them working through that strategy. And to me, that seems like something very professional. So you hear the argument all the time that Hearthstone is just a game of chance and just a game of luck. It's really, yes, it has that element in it, but when you watch the tournaments, you can see the players that are working through what's going on and the matchup and knowing their outs, but not only knowing their outs, knowing their opponent's outs. And then you can see the players who are just playing their deck. And I feel like, at least in this top four, the players that advanced were the players that knew the matchups, they knew their opponent's decks, they knew how their opponent's decks worked, they were counting the cards, they knew what cards were left in the decks, and it wasn't just them playing their deck and making their opponent react to what they were doing. They were actively anticipating what their opponent was going to play. And I didn't see it as much through the first two days of the tournament. Definitely saw it on the last day. So I feel like in this particular playoffs, I feel like the best players playing made it through to the top, and that's exciting.
Yeah. I will say that the meta right now, again, the meta from the EU tournament a week prior to this tournament was vastly different. And this tournament meta had a very strong contingent of control in it. And the top players that made it to the top four decided to take an anti-control route in the form of OTK decks. Bloodyface was primarily running an OTK strategy. Now, we did see other players run an OTK strategy, similar to Bloodyface and Noblord specifically, like a Language Hacker, and he didn't do as well. He didn't do terribly. I think he ended up getting out 3-3 before he dropped. And there was a lot of RNG involved in some of his, but he was playing primarily a Mechathune strategy. The interesting thing is Bloodyface didn't bring any Hunter at all.
Yeah.
So when players had to decide, what am I going to target? What's my strategy to target something? A lot of your players targeted Hunter. Well, now Bloodyface doesn't have a target, so they have to improvise. And when you try to improvise against an OTK strategy, the OTK, all they need is time. And when you're improvising, usually that takes time, especially with the type of decks, the more slower decks that were in this tournament for the contingent of the playoffs. And Bloodyface and Noblord specifically read the meta really, really well, to the point that their lineups were very similar. And I tell you, they had probably one of the best matches in the tournament, in my opinion.
The thing to note about Bloodyface's lineup in particular was he brought APM Priest and Quest Rogue.
Yes.
It's like you really, really want to target ban one of those, but you couldn't really because the rest of his lineup was just as scary. And so it's like, well, so the disadvantages are that you don't play against those decks as much. So even though the deck lists were available and you could practice, it's still not the sheer number of games that you played against the other decks in the meta. And because it wasn't a widespread bring, you couldn't devote a super large amount of time to practicing for it before this because you had so many other decks to contend with. I felt like Bloodyface, his deck selection, the 4 decks he brought, I feel like is a big reason why he was able to navigate those matchups. And he basically put all of his opponents, minus Noblord, in really awkward matchup positions. And I feel like he played that part of the strategy really well. Yeah. And it didn't work out for him 100%. But in the games that I saw, it's like awkward situation after awkward situation and you watch players as they would queue in, and you could see the expressions on their face and the exasperation. And I just felt like it was a super, super solid performance, especially from Bloodyface and Noblord.
And, it's funny you talk about that about him bringing that quest rogue, because he almost didn't. He actually wrote up a piece on Reddit in the /r/ competitive Hearthstone about his entire experience for America's Winter Playoffs. And in the final paragraph of his opening statement, he actually states, in the last hours before deck submission, I was faltering between Quest Rogue and Mechathune Warlock because he was scared of how Hunter would do against Quest Rogue. But he ended up submitting it anyway because he felt more experienced with Quest Rogue and he knew the deck inside and out. And as you said, in those matchups, you could really tell how more experienced and comfortable he felt because he played the deck really well.
Yeah, and see, this goes back to a point that I love about Hearthstone is he was considering using the Mechathune Warlock deck, which we played on the show, was it last week? And it's Lego Checker's version is what we played. And it is very effective. It is a good deck. When you talk about tournament decks, if you line up Mechathune Warlock, this new version, next to Quest Rogue, I would say that Mechathune Warlock, card for card, is a better deck. It's going to give you better results as just for a number's sake. However, the thing I love about Hearthstone, and I say this all the time when I'm playing in THL, I will often choose a less popular, less numbers-driven deck to play in the tournament series there because I have more experience with it. Therefore, my win rate goes up just from muscle memory. And this is where Bloodyface recognized that and said, now, card for card, Mechathune Warlock's a better deck, but I am practiced and can get those extra percentage points out of Quest Rogue because I'm so good at it. And we've seen him carry Quest Rogue throughout the year and have hit really catapult him through especially the latter part of the year in competitive play. He is probably one of the best Quest Rogue players I have ever had the privilege of watching play and meet in person. Yeah, he's just amazing. Now, one thing I want to touch on, though, is him and Noblord faced, and Noblord ended up defeating him, making him go down to a decider match versus Killin' All Day, where he defeated Killin' All Day to qualify. But Noblord and Bloodyface are good friends. When we first met Bloodyface in, 2016? Back in the playoffs or whatever they called them back then, prelims. Mm-hmm. I remember him kind of stewing at our venue because he had to play Noblord, and him and Noblord were really good friends, and he hated having to play him, but at the same time, that competitive spirit says, I got to go all out against one of my best friends and practice partners. So we know that Noblord and Bloodyface have been playing against each other, with each other, practicing together since at least 2016. And to see both of them qualify in the same regional playoffs and get to go to the same world championships together just excites me, because the way seeding happens, it's possible that these two may not have to face each other until the finals or semifinals at the earliest. So a lot of times you don't get matched up against the people that played in your seasons necessarily when you go on. So it's going to be really neat to see them grow, and I'd love nothing more than for Bloodyface to do well, and I'd love to see Noblord qualify for World Championships. That would be really neat to have Noblord, Bloodyface, and Language Hacker all there. I'm getting goosebumps and excited just for the conclusion of the 2018 Championship Series.
So let's talk about his other two decks. We talked about APM Priest. We talked about the Quest Rogue. And, I said that he brought an awkward lineup where you were kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. Mm-hmm. The other two decks he brought was the OTK Paladin.
They're calling it the Holy Wrath Paladin. However, I don't like calling it that. It's actually a double OTK Paladin because it has the Uther OTK with the bounce effects and the Holy Wrath. So you actually have two different OTK options depending on the pace of the match. If the pace goes very, very fast, you can rely on the Uther where you don't have to exhaust your entire deck. But if you get drawn out into a long control match and all you can do is sustain the board, you then can rely on a Holy Wrath. And we did see in a couple situations where it came down to rolling like a 1 out of 3 to get the right Holy Wrath to win the game, and it was successful.
Knowing your outs. I feel like he played that deck well. The other one was the Hakar Togwaggle Druid, and a lot of people just don't like playing against that deck.
It's hard.
It drew a couple of bans, and when he did play it, I felt like he played it really well. So it's like, do you really ban Quest Rogue, which may not go off in time? I don't think so, which puts him on a comfort deck almost every game. People talk about Druid strengths and the Hakar strategy and so on and so forth. I felt like he got to play Druid quite a bit. I know he played Paladin against his Paladin against Language Hacker when he played against Language Hacker. So it's just like, what do you ban? And I felt like he brought a lineup that no matter what his opponent banned, there was at least an awkward or two matchup in his lineup. And, it's one of those things where it's worth going back and watching his run through on the matches that he was streamed, because Noblord wore those emotions on his face. You look at Bloodyface, and sometimes you got to wonder if he's breathing.
Yeah, the man's composure is just ridiculous. He is a stone statue. Now, if you talk to him, he's a nervous wreck. He says that he will, and again, I hate speaking for him, but we've talked to him so many times, and he's been a guest on the show twice. He'll tell you that his internal dialogue is just crazy, but he knows he has to keep himself in composure. Now, this is from somebody who's competed in multiple games, including Magic the Gathering, so he knows that competitive mindset, and he has mastered that competitive mindset at such a young age, and that's just amazing. I think and no matter what direction Hearthstone goes or anything, he's going to be successful. Whether it be Hearthstone or any other game, he's going to be successful.
So now, if I'm not mistaken, he didn't lose until round 6, right? And that wasn't the Killing All Day, because I think he beat Killing All Day twice.
Yeah, that was Bobby X.
He lost to Bobby X.
Yes, it was Bobby X.
Yeah.
And Bobby X, now I know we've been talking a lot about Bloodyface and Noblord. The other two qualifiers, Ike, which Ike is a namesake everybody knows. Now, Ike usually does well in playoffs, but doesn't get into that top 8 or top 4 often. But he is a deck innovator. Now, this type of meta is perfect for Ike. But this Bobby X guy, I've never really heard of him. The casters say he's kind of been in the circuit a bit, but he's never had his breakout moment. And I'm really excited to see what he brings to to the championship for the winter season. Now, this might be because of the meta. Maybe Bobby X has always been a really good anti-control player to control player that just hasn't had the right meta to allow him to be successful. And if that's the case, he might falter when it comes to the championship. We'll just have to see.
One of the things I noticed about Bobby X is I felt like he gambled a lot.
He did. He was an extremely greedy player. I loved it.
Yeah, I mean, he knew his outs, and he wasn't scared to take a chance because and this is guessing, but just in watching him play, I feel like he had a very good sense of when a game was going to get away from him.
Yes.
So it's like, yes, I can wait a turn or 2 turns, and my chances are better of getting what I need. But in 2 turns, is it going to matter? And I felt like every time he needed to take a chance, or every time taking a chance and it working out for him gave him a tremendous advantage, I felt like he did a very good job of finding that moment and just going ahead and playing for that. It didn't always work out for him, but he wasn't scared to do it. And one of the things that you see time and time again in these events is that the pressure of the moment gets to the players. And, when they're on stream or when they're just playing on ladder, it doesn't matter if they lose because that next match just happens and it's, but when your tournament life is on the line, being able to make that call to take that chance and roll the dice and calculate the odds, that's a big thing to do in 90 seconds. Yeah. And I felt like he did a very good job of realizing those moments and taking advantage of them.
And see, I really liked him because his play style was very similar to mine. He held a lot of his removal longer than most people would, but when I saw it, I was like, yeah, that's exactly what I would do. But I know I've had people critique me in the past saying, wow, why didn't you use your board clear there? I was like, well, if they have it, they have it, but if I can delay it 1 turn, I'm almost guaranteed to be in a better spot because of, how much removal I have, vice how much, board pressure they have. And he lived on the edge, but if I'm not, I know he was 6-0 in Swiss. Did he end up going 7-0 in Swiss?
I'm not sure. I don't
think
remember.
He was the.
Yes, he did. He went 6-1 in the 7 rounds of Swiss, and then that dropped him into top 8.
Actually,
we're talking about Bobby X.
Oh no.
Bobby X, I believe, went 7-0.
Okay,
and then he went all the way through the winners bracket. So,
gotcha.
If I'm not mistaken,
and I made a mistake earlier. Bloodyface didn't beat Killing All Day twice. He beat him 3 times.
Yes.
Do you know how hard it is to beat the same person 3 times in the same event?
Yes, but in Killing All Day's defense, and this was the really heartbreaking part is Killing All Day loses to Bloodyface the second time. And you're thinking, well, if he just doesn't have to face Bloodyface again because Bloodyface's lineup pretty much counters him, he'll be fine. Well, Bloodyface has to go face Noblord. And both of them have similar lineups, which both counter Killing All Day. So Killing All Day was basically damned if you do, damned if you don't. He was going to have an uphill battle, whether it was Noblord or Bloodyface. And you hate seeing somebody in that situation where it's like you almost can't win. Now, it wasn't so polarized like a 70-30 or nothing, but it was he was behind.
Bloodyface beating 3-0 the first time. And then, if I'm not mistaken,
2-3 the second time.
Yeah, the second one was pretty close, and then the last one, was fast because I actually had something happen right as it came on, and I went up to take care of it and grabbed a cup of coffee, and when I got back, it was over.
And the difference was in the second matchup, he changed his ban strategy in the second.
Yeah, and in the third match, the third time they played, in his write-up, he actually states, even though I won this round 3-0, this was an extremely close match.
It was very close. I mean, if Bloodyface didn't have that last punch, that turn, it probably could have turned back to Killing All Day's side. So if you don't watch a lot of esports and you just rely on news reportings on this, I would definitely go back to the VODs and at least watch any of the matches involving Killing All Day, Bloodyface, and Noblord that were streamed.
And
Those
Bobby
two
X.
players, Bobby X did well too, but to be honest, a lot of his matches weren't super
Perfect.
notable. He was just good. It was just good, solid play. But the Noblord, Bloodyface, and Killing All Day matches were just top end Hearthstone. And if they found a way to put a fifth person into the championships, I would have loved for Killing All Day to take that spot. To be honest, if he would have drawn the slot for Ike, if he would have been in Ike's spot, he might have been there instead of Ike. And for that matter, possibly Bobby X might have had a better chance versus Bloodyface and Noblord, but it could have been Ike or Killing All Day based on the seeds after the Swiss rounds. And you're muted.
Okay, so if you guys want to check it out, go in our show notes. We'll have a link to his write-up where he walks through every match he played. Also, we want to give him a shout-out. He is going to be streaming a little more. He says he's been streaming fairly consistently lately. He's hoping to stream a lot more. You can find his stream over at twitch.tv/bloodyfacehs. Make sure you go give him a follow on Twitch. It's great person to learn from. Probably one of the best. So, all right, moving on. We did have one other thing coming out of the playoffs, and that was in the final round of Swiss, APXVoid was playing versus Ant, and he got disqualified under Rule 7.11a, which kind of refers to stream sniping or any general attempt by a player to spectate his own match or get information. I like to also call it the collusion rule.
Yes.
So basically what happened was, and APXVoid wrote his take on the incident, and he actually stated that his match was one that was pushed to be a side match. So if you're not familiar with how tournaments work in real time, they'll start the primary stream match, and then what they'll do is they'll hold another match that's not allowed to start yet until the first match is done, usually with about game one. That way, if it finishes quickly, they have another match ready to switch to for stream.
And actually, that's not quite what happened in this one, because the way they do the playoffs is a little different. What they'll do is they'll start everybody except for the stream matches, and then if they see that the stream match is going to end premature to the end of the round, they will pick another match and tell them at the end of this game, stop.
Yeah.
So if I'm not mistaken, and through all the tweets and descriptions I read, APXVoid and Ant were in the middle of their series, and they took a break to wait for their next match.
Well,
for their next game within
he
the
actually
match.
states in his thing, it was the final round, and my match was selected to be one of the spectated side matches, so we had to hold. This means we both have to wait a few minutes in the deck selection screen before we're told by an admin to start. So they were held. And basically, that's how that works. So they were playing, and because he was feeling kind of nervous going into this matchup, because he was kind of on the bubble at this point, and
They both were on the bubble.
yeah, and the match beside him was already going, and he didn't want to interrupt anybody. So he typed out a question on his chat bar that said, "Do I play for hard fatigue in the Warrior matchup?" He says, "I was hoping the person sitting next to me would see the message on my screen and give me a nod or something to ease my anxiety." He said, "I typed it instead of asking it because I didn't want to distract players who were already busy. This is where I broke the rules," he says. "But I was so focused on thinking about my match that I didn't really process that I was breaking a rule." So that's kind of where the collusion rule happens. So
Yes.
basically, you're not allowed, once a round has started, you're not allowed to talk to other players about matches because the person you're talking to might have already played your opponent, and you're not supposed to be able to get additional insider information, basically.
Okay, now that happens though.
It does. It does.
And I'd like to talk about that a little bit when we get a little further through his incident report.
Yeah. So he goes on to say, I already knew the answer to my matchup question. I have no idea why I typed it, since I can ask that literally any other time. So before anyone had a good chance to see it, I minimized it and forgot about it. And that's where this kind of comes into play, because he had typed it as a reply to the admin who was waiting for his class selection. So he says, once his current game ended, I typed enter to tell the admin my next class. However, he forgot his question was still there and sent that question to the admin, which led them to disqualify him under the suspicion of cheating.
Yes.
So it was a perfect storm of, this was not supposed to happen, and I didn't mean to send it, but I shouldn't have been asking anyway. And so it all came down to, it was just a unfortunate incident, basically.
So
wait, before you get started, because I know yours is going to be a little bit longer than mine. So I don't have a problem with him being disqualified because it happened mid-match.
Yes.
All right, so I'll go ahead and get that out. He should have been disqualified because he was asking another player for advice after his match had already begun. But players ask other players about information on opponents that they have already played in every tournament that I've ever witnessed or heard about. So is it relevant? Is it more relevant in the middle of the match than it is before the match? Because in my opinion, it's not. Now, if he's asking for real-time strategy from someone who is watching the stream, I have a real issue with it. But if he's asking about hard fatigue, if he's asking about a specific matchup question that he could have asked about before the game and gotten the same information, then I don't see how that's any different. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. And this rule has been suspect for a while. A lot of players have questioned this rule. And
it's an open deck list. You shouldn't have to ask other players for information. And to be quite honest, I don't like when that happens, just because I feel like it is shady integrity. So, for me, it's kind of a little bit of a sore spot anyway. But, in the grand scheme of things, I guess my big question is, did it really matter if he asked it before or after? Because in my opinion, if that's going to be a basis for disqualification, then it needs to be a basis for disqualification across the board. Like, you need to sit down and completely flesh out what constitutes a violation and what doesn't. If it's only that you are asking another player something after the match has started, then any information after the match has started, is one thing. But it's like, if you're saying that getting information on a matchup from an opponent is a violation of the rules, then you need to penalize everybody who's talking about it before the matches too. I guess that's where I'm coming from.
Yeah. All right, ZachO?
So I believe the correct action was taken in this. Now, there was some speculation before he put out this post that had he been cheating the whole tournament, is this something that should be more of a long-term ban, long-term punishment? I don't believe so. I think this is just a moment of weakness where he was just real unsure and did something that was borderline against the rules. And probably shouldn't have done it, but he wasn't thinking of it at the time. Now,
I was gonna say he's allowed to do it before the match. So
yeah, he could do it between the rounds when they're not they haven't started their challenge screen. Basically, he can't do it. And a lot of that goes back to the whole RDU high mom scandal and a few other things that were hard to prove. So they had to set a rule in there that if this type of situation happened, they could punish it. So that's what that collusion rule is there for. Now, on the topic of does this happen? Yes, it does. I've been to a few LAN events. Obviously, there has been in some of the tournament series I've been in online, there's been violations that people have caught where people are literally talking in Discord with somebody else during their match to get ideas on plays. These type of things happen. Are they right? No, but they happen. Now, as for this situation where it happens when they're in the challenge screen or right when their match is about to start, I actually had a situation at DreamHack in 2017 where this type of thing happened. Again, I'm not going to give any names, but I was sitting across from my opponent, and there were two players on the opposite side of the table that one of their opponents hadn't sat down yet, but he was doing his ban process, and he said, I banned his priest, but if his paladin is control, should I go hard in the paint? And the other player's like, I would. Now, does that sound right there? Obviously, he's asking, should I be more aggressive if he ends up being control? That's helping him make a decision based on his bans on whether he should ban something or not, or how he should play that matchup. Is that a violation? Technically, by the letter of the rules, yes. But these are type of things that sometimes you do without even thinking about it. You know, you think you're literally minutes or even seconds before your match, and you have a resource close by, and you say, hey, you're just validating your internal thoughts. When you're playing with players, especially in a pro scene where you're playing with a lot of these players often, and maybe you're the practice partners, in the hotel the night before or even the week before. So they would be a good person to ask, and they just happen to be sitting next to you. You don't do it without thinking. I'm not trying to say that it's right. I'm saying sometimes the players don't, before they do or say anything, they don't pull out the rule book and say, hey, can I say this to him? So this is an honest mistake that happened. I think it was handled well. APXVoid has never given me any reason to say that he has a pattern of this, and he handled it really well. He gave it a couple days. He thought out a response. He seemingly, according to me, told the complete truth. He gave a lot of details, and I'm fine with it. To me, the issue's washed. I don't think this will happen again. He definitely learned a lesson, and it's a situation that was handled really well by all parties.
Yeah, I agree.
I guess for me, I don't think he should be deemed a cheater because he wasn't getting active information about what his opponent was doing during the game. So for me, yes, you got disqualified because you talked to somebody after the match started. I don't have a problem with the disqualification. I have a problem with the consistency, but not the disqualification. But I don't think he should be deemed a cheater, even though
and I don't
he
think
ended up inadvertently cheating in this. And I'm not going to say that he accidentally asked the person. He fully intended on asking the person.
Yeah.
And for full disclosure, I believe it came on a write-up or it was on a tweet following it. It was confirmed it was Frozen.
Yes.
And Frozen did not see the message.
Correct.
But if I had Frozen sitting next to me and I had a moment of doubt, and he wasn't in his match at the time, yeah, I'd ask. Now, would it be a violation? Yeah. Now, I would like to think I think, well, am I allowed to ask him? And hopefully, in the future, APXVoid, thinks that, hey, before I do this, let me just make sure this is right. I don't think I would never call him a cheater. I wouldn't even say he cheated. He had an isolated incident that was in violation of the rules. It happens.
So the action
You know.
itself wasn't cheating. The time in which he did said action was technically cheating. So
Yeah.
that's where I don't have a problem with him getting disqualified. I do have an issue with people calling him a cheater.
Yeah, you don't see a football player that gets called for a holding call that stops a touchdown and then say, "Oh, that guy's a cheater," for the rest of his career.
Yeah.
No. He had a holding call on him. It was a violation of the rules. Oh, well, it happened.
There's one other thing I want to talk about from this past weekend that didn't make the show notes, and that's Fibonacci. So
Yes.
Fibonacci played round 1 versus Dog. And Dog was playing an all anti-control lineup,
Yep.
which
It was
Fibonacci
very
had
popular,
brought.
yeah.
Fibonacci had brought a straight control lineup. So, and he even tweets, facing Dog first round, he has anti-control lineup, so fat L. Okay, no big deal. Goes into round 2, and he's already tilted at the fact
Really
that,
tilted.
that Dog was playing anti-control. And so he goes in, and we don't know really what happens in round 2. All he tweets is, "There's no excuse to what I did, but I was already tilted before the series even started. Need to work on my mindset." And then a few minutes later, he tilts, "I'm just going to take a break from Hearthstone until I start caring and have my mindset right. I've forfeited all other series as it is unacceptable for me to play any further."
Yeah, and see, this is really bad for Dog, because if Dog continues to play, and Dog ended up dropping out pretty early, and it might have been because of this. If Dog continues to play and ends up at any point on a bubble, it's going to come down to to your opponent's series and what their records were. And his opponent Fibonacci dropped out in round 2.
Mm-hmm.
So he's going to be on the bottom of every single tiebreaker. So once he hits 2 losses, Dog might as well be like, "I'm done," because even if a couple 5 and 2s get in, there's no way I get in.
Right. So yeah, and now it sounds like Fibonacci's going to kind of walk away from the game for a while. If you guys don't know who Fibonacci is, he's considered one of the best warrior players out there.
Yeah.
And so, we'll have to follow him, see what happens. He might get some encouragement from some of his other friends and come back sooner rather than later.
And Fibonacci's been very successful in past playoffs, mainly because in an aggro meta or even a mid-range meta, control can hold its own. It doesn't always win or make top 8, but it gets in the money a lot. And he primarily plays control. But this tournament meta is very anti-control. A lot of combo decks, and in control decks just get eaten up by these Uther OTK combos, these Akar combos, these Togwaggle combos, these Mechathune. I mean, there's so many combos now that just it's real disheartening. So I hope that he just gives it time, lets the meta change and the rotation happen in April, reevaluates and maybe sees if he can stick around and continue Hearthstone. I hope he doesn't just quit Hearthstone over this, but it is very disheartening. And sometimes the meta's away. You just need to take 3 or 4 months off and wait till it rotates or resets.
Yeah. All right. So with all of that, we still have one more playoff weekend coming.
Yeah.
So this coming weekend, we have APAC. And as we've mentioned for the last 2, our friend Wicked Good over at Off Curve has put together a deck list browser for APAC. And we'll have a link to that in our show notes, as we have with the others. It looks like in APAC, Paladin is going to be the most popular class.
Yes.
With Even and Wrath OTK being the most popular archetypes.
And I took a quick glance over these deck lists. It literally looks like a train wreck between EU and the Americas playoffs happened, and literally you have half of it is like these mid-range semi-aggro decks, and then the other half of these control to high OTK combo decks. So it's going to be very interesting. Also, the APAC's kind of been marred lately in various scandals and some of their tournaments over there have had to not be televised until not be streamed until like the top 4, or some in one case the top 2. The finals was the only thing that got streamed because there's been some issues of collusion over in the APAC region, and I'm kind of interested. I know I hate seeing that kind of stuff in esports, but it does make for good news. I'm interested to see if there's any kind of integrity violations that happen in this tournament. And I'm sure that all eyes are going to be all over this tournament series, and the admins are going to be on high alert, especially with the track record of some of these APAC players, as well as what happened in Americas.
So I'm just going to go ahead and throw this out there. I don't know his name. It starts with a D. I think he's 9th down on the list of Wicked Goods document, but he is not bringing Hunter or Paladin, and that makes me really happy.
Dakmalaz.
Yeah, so
looks like he's playing Control Mage, Control Priest, Peanut Shaman, and Odd Warrior.
Yeah,
that Peanut Shaman is getting really. And you know why they call it Peanut Shaman, right?
Yeah.
No, explain it to just in case.
So Peanut Shaman, basically, the goal of the deck is to draw the nuts. If you draw the nuts, you win. The deck is a good mid-range. I think it's mid-range. Looking at the list, it's a good mid-range shell, but it's all about if you draw the nuts, you win pretty much every time.
I just think it's funny that Shaman is the most underrepresented class yet again. With only 4 people bringing a Shaman deck.
Yeah. Okay. Before I get myself in trouble, I'm going to move on. All right.
What do you mean, get yourself in trouble?
No.
Yeah,
Move on.
All right. Hearthstone put out a Pupdate. This was a news blog post where they actually show some of the animals that are part of the Hearthstone development team. So if you guys don't know, Blizzard is a company where you can bring your animals to work. People bring their cats, they bring their dogs, they go to work with them on a regular basis. And so they actually took the time to put out an update with pictures of a lot of the pups that work on the team. And this has led ZachO to do a little speculation.
Yeah, I get Blizzard does a lot of like just community blogs. They want to let people know that they're, humans running this company. They're just like us, but they also don't usually waste time with blogs for no apparent reason. And there was no attachment to this to support any kind of charity at this moment or anything like that, or anything that kind of linked up this to Hearthstone or the company Blizzard at all. So maybe this is kind of a tease for next season. Our next year is Year of the Hound. A hound is a predominant species within World of Warcraft, and I was hoping they'd do something like Stag or something majestic, but Year of the Hound would be pretty cool, especially that they could use some of these kind of teaser blogs to kind of lead into it. What do you guys think?
I was hoping for something reptilian. You had the Year of the Kraken, which is an aquatic animal. We'll call it a fish. You've had Year of the Mammoth, which is a mammal, and you've had the Year of the Raven, which is a bird. So a reptile would represent you either need a reptile or an insect sort of coming out to get the major animal groups on the planet. So I would like to see like a Year of the Snake or a Year of the Mantis or something along those lines.
My thoughts are you've been wearing your tinfoil hat too long and it may have scrambled something. Why can't it just be a cute pup dog update?
Because it's Blizzard, there's always somebody's like, you know what? Let's kind of give a little drop, and we haven't seen a lot of drops lately. Mainly because the minute they do a drop, people find leaks and stuff like that.
People start speculating and pulling out their
speculating.
Hat.
That's right. Hey, I was right about Pirates versus Ninjas, and if you say I was wrong, then you're right. But in my mind, I was right about it. If you link them all up, there were Pirates and there were Ninjas in a way, so I wasn't wrong.
I think Blizzard 5 years ago, maybe even 3 years ago, you're probably right. But I just don't think Blizzard these days is as interested in that kind of stuff as they were.
Could this just be trying to reach out their community and just put something out there to keep people clicking on the website and be positive and
dehumanize them?
Yeah, exactly. You're probably right. But I'd love to think we got Year of the Hound, and if I'm right, then I called it all along. So.
And if you're wrong, you were just guessing.
and I promise you, between now and the announcement of the Year of the Hound, I will have guessed about 7 or 8 different creatures, mythological or anything, so it kind of covered my bases. So it could be Year of the Stag, could be Year of the Hound. I'll think of some more between now and then.
This just in, Zeroshio gets idea for the new year by sticking his finger in a light socket.
That's right.
So this week's Tavern Brawl is ShiftCon West. So ShiftCon has gotten so big, it's had to expand. ShiftCon West brings all the same fun, but now includes commemorative shifting scrolls.
So my biggest question on this is, where was ShiftCon originally? Because if it was an East Coast convention and I didn't know about it, I'm going to be upset.
Yeah.
No, they've added the scrolls into this, the shifting scrolls, and it's actually made it a little more enjoyable. I think the only reason I didn't like ShiftCon before is because it was just nothing but minions, and sometimes you felt like if they got the better minion, you had no way of getting removal except for maybe something like Nexus Champion Sarad or something really off the wall, or one of these that pulls you a random spell. But having kind of a good distribution of random spells with your random minions, this was fun. Now, I don't know why my opponent conceded like on turn 3, and I really hadn't played. All I'd done is removed his minions. I didn't play anything. So he maybe just got some bad minions and was frustrated. And I haven't played it since because I didn't have a lot of time. But I'll probably play this a couple more times to get quests done.
So if you need Druid wins, this is a fantastic Tavern Brawl to play Druid, because the shifting scrolls are mage spells. So you have Druid minions with mage spells, which gives you a remarkable amount of control.
Well, not always Druid minions, because Shifter's Eris can give you anything.
Well, I mean, I always got Druid minions or neutral minions.
No, it can turn into anything.
Oh, well,
because it's random, it's not Discover. Oh, you got lucky.
Yep.
I'm confused though on one thing you stated. Druid? What's that?
I know.
But it's the new class.
I was on coin, and I put 3 Forgotten Torches in my deck in subsequent turns.
Wow.
You know what we call Forgotten Torch? An odd fireball.
Yeah. So my opponent conceded when the third one went in.
Yeah. So I've not actually gotten to play this yet. I will give it a shot probably after the show. That will bring us to this week's deck, which is, as we said at the top of the show, Wild. This week we are checking out a Wild Odd Mage.
Yeah, before we get into the deck, one of the reasons we wanted to cover a Wild deck this week is because, remember, this is kind of a Wild month. A lot of players are in Wild right now, and they're pushing for that top 100 spot. And if you get top 100, you'll be invited to the Wild Open tournament that Blizzard is hosting. Again, they did this last year. That was a little different, I think, in the format, but they did do it last year. and there's hopes with Team One Trick and a few of the other wild podcasts and organizations that hopefully this eventually will become maybe a seasonal thing, maybe not as big as HCT is now or the tournament series will be in 2019 for standard, but hopefully this starts getting more traction. If more and more players start entering these tournaments, then I'd love to see a multi-time per year, maybe a seasonal tournament series for Wild.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I enjoy watching Wild. It's way more fun for me than Standard. Standard's just boring to me, but I love to watch some Wild. So, all right, I'm going to run down this deck list, and then I will hand it off to ZachO to kind of talk through it a little. Let me pull the deck list up here on the screen for those of you watching on YouTube or Twitch. The deck list consists of 2 Arcane Blast, 2 Arcane Missiles, 2 Daring Fire Eater, 2 Firefly, 2 Shooting Star, 2 Black Cat, 2 Cinderstorm, 2 Flame Waker, 2 Forgotten Torch, 2 Polymorph Boar, 2 Pyromaniac. Then you've got 2 Azure Drake. Good to see him again. 1 Dr. Boom, 2 Firelands Portal. Then you've got your big 3 cards in Jan'alai the Dragonhawk, Baku the Moon Eater, and Frostlich Jaina. So, ZachO, take it away.
So first thing a lot of people will tell you is why even use Jan'alai the Dragonhawk when you have Ragnaros in Wild? Well, the reason is because this is an odd deck, and you can't put Ragnaros in an odd deck. So this allows the flexibility of having Ragnaros in an odd deck. So it's some good late game damage as well as healing if you have Frostless Jaina. I've only been able to play one game with this so far, and it dominated a hunter. It absolutely destroyed them. I really like being able to play with the Azure Drakes again. Again, I've been getting back into Wild and getting kind of climatized to what kind of removal you see and that kind of stuff. This is just a good, aggressive deck that can beat out Reno decks if you push it hard enough, and definitely does well against other control decks.
Yeah, the deck it struggles the most against was even Shaman. So I made one alteration, and it actually shored that matchup up. I put Baron Geddon in place of Dr. Boom, and it actually was super effective in the even Shaman matchup, and actually helped me close the game out. So it actually will work. I was 50-50 against my even Shaman opponents, but that's a better win rate than I've had with any other deck against even Shaman in Wild. So
yeah, it's a good deck. Now, one thing to note, these Firelands portals are really good removal because it gives you a body as well. But do not be afraid to go face with this. That's one thing Matt at Arms really harped on me about. Is he says, Firelands portal, when you're at turn 7 and they don't have a board, just shift it to face, because you're going to get a body they have to deal with. You're then accomplishing your goal of reducing their health. And in most cases, unless you're expecting a Reno that turn or an Amara or something like that they're going to get significant healing, that's really the right play.
All right. Well, I did not have Jan'alai. That was the one card I was missing, so I did not get to build this deck to play it pre-show. But I've been really looking forward to seeing this deck play because I love Mage in Wild. I love Flame Waker. I love all the cards that you just don't get to see anymore. So I'm really looking forward to playing this deck tonight. This is going to be a lot of fun for me. So
yeah, the one I had to craft a Polymorph Boar. I only had one. I tell you, that's another card that was sneakily good. Is when you can Daring Fire Eater, ship 4 damage to somebody's face with your hero power, then you immediately Polymorph Boar your Fire Eater for another 4 damage to their face. That's some tempo.
Oh, yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
crazy.
This plays a lot like a tempo deck from what I can see. So, all right. So, if you guys are joining us on Twitch or YouTube, please stay tuned for the live play portion of our show. If you are listening via the audio podcast, we'd like to thank you for joining us. Remember, you can follow us on Twitter at HeroPower_cast. Find all of our past episodes on YouTube at youtube.com/ECMMOGamers or on our website at HeroPowerHS.com. If you enjoy the show and you'd like to help support and improve it, you can do so by joining our Patreon at patreon.com/HeroPower. And we'll see you all again next week.
And don't forget to use your hero power to summon Ragnaros, the Fire Lord.
Alrighty, gentlemen.
Was that too corny?
No.
I was going to say there's something wrong with you.
Well, we do that. We do that.
So, yeah, I'll say it on the play portion. I didn't want to say it on the audio portion of the show, but, I mean, why call it Peanut Shaman? Just because you're trying to draw the nuts, why not call it Sack Shaman?
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I had a feeling that's the way you were going. You didn't go as far as I thought you would, but it was close. It was close.
Oh.
It was definitely close. I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
I'm very proud of you.
Yeah.
Let me know when you're ready.
I'm ready when you are.
All right, getting into some wild. I think I'm rank 3
You are ranked 3 in Wild.
You are.
in wild, if I'm not mistaken.
You are.
I'm kind of
wait for Hearthstone to respond. There we go.
I've been up to rank 2.
Hey, stop talking to me.
I'm kind of doing both ladders at the same time now that I'm more confident with wild, so it might be making me suffer a little bit, but old Drac. So we got us a warrior.
Do you have spectate turned on?
Spectate turned off.
I may because I've been in my leagues. I do apologize. There we go. Sorry about that.
Look, spectate boss is hard enough to fight. We can see it.
So we have Polymorph, Boar, Cinderstorm, Dr. Boom, and Pyromaniac. I'm thinking about sending everything back except the Cinderstorm, just in case it's Pirate Warrior.
I don't hate that.
I'd like to draw in.
I definitely think you send back Polymorph, Boar, and Dr. Boom. I think there's merit to keeping the Pyromaniac.
You think so? Because you don't get a lot of value till turn 5. But
yeah.
Unless
at worst case, he's still a 3-mana 3/4.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, let's keep the Pyromaniac. That way we have a guaranteed 3 play if we don't Cinderstorm.
Right. That was kind of my point.
That's a terrible draw.
Yeah, well, it's kind of a terrible
pretty
draw.
Heavy, so
We're probably going to coin into an Azure Drake, to be honest. Nope, it's odd. That is actually good because it's a lot of armor, but it turns up the turn counter.
Quest Warrior.
As long as he's doesn't hyper out the quest, we should be fine. I think we just Firefly here.
Yeah, Firefly.
We're going to be able to. We're cutting off half of his hero power with our.
Yeah, most of our stuff goes over top of his top of his taunts anyway.
Yep. I think we just go to face and hero power face.
Hold on a second. Is there any merit for coining out the Pyromaniac for pressure?
I don't hate it.
I don't hate it.
It may force out a shield slam.
It might. I would love for that to force out a shield slam. It means we're not coining out Azure Drake on 4, though.
Yeah, but I'm okay with that. If we get it to draw a shield slam, that means Azure Drake sticks on the board.
Yeah, I agree. Now we do need to. So, a lot of these odd warriors that you're seeing in the wild ladder, do not be surprised if you see no wild only cards or wild exclusive cards because
there it is.
Yep, that's good. That's actually really good for us. A lot of your standard players are coming over and playing odd quest warrior just to try to keep up.
Okay, so I think you probably play out the Flame Elemental and Hero Power and just send the other one to face.
Yeah.
I think we
agree.
save the Cinder Storm.
Yeah, I don't hate that. Yeah, I don't think the Cinderstorm's really. If he puts up a taunt, we might want to, because we know he's going to be playing taunts clearly.
Right.
Deathlord isn't bad. We hate for Janelide to get pulled. Do we just Cinder? We're not going to be able to hero power with the Cinderstorm.
I think just hero power.
Yeah.
The
And I
minion
think-
or face?
I think you Hero Power him, the minion.
And then just hold the attack?
Yeah.
Make him trade?
Yeah.
We're pretty much a guaranteed Azure Drake next turn, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is where I really miss Polymorph.
I think you definitely cat here.
Do we cat or we save the cat for a Cinderstorm next turn?
I think you can cat and Shooting Star. No, that's not what I was thinking it was. I was thinking Arcane Blast. Yeah,
I like
would
the Azure Drake here.
Yeah.
Pyromaniac's not terrible.
I would
Just pass it.
run the 1/2 into the 3/6.
3/6?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because then if he uses the 3/6 as part of the way to clear the Ezra Drake, then we still kill it off with a Shooting Star.
Yeah. Bash trade. Don't hate that. We could sell. Let's see. What's our mana like? We could cat Cinderstorm. We could cat Shooting Star.
I think we bore that
Ooh.
Deathlord.
So hold on. If we bore that, we can ping the boar and then still Shooting Star. Or do we just Cinderstorm?
Okay, so like you said, if we pull Janelai, this game is going to be so much harder to win.
But we don't want to. We don't want to
So-
bore the Death Lord, do we?
Up to you.
I'd rather
I mean,
bore the.
we've already
Hexen.
got Boar. We already got Baku in hand. We've already had 2 Azure Drakes, 2 Pyromaniacs, which leaves 1 Black Cat, Doctor Boom,
2
and
Flame Wakers,
Janelai, and 2 Flame Wakers. So what is that? A 1 and 6?
and a Firefly and 2 Daring Fire Eaters. Well, we got a lot of minions left.
Okay, I forgot we had Daring Fire Eaters. Okay.
Yeah. Like Polymorph, and I'm going to Shooting Star first. See what we pull, then ping. Okay. That wasn't bad.
In my opinion, that would be the one I'd want to pull.
Yeah, I mean, you really don't want to pull the Daring Fire Eaters, but
No.
it wouldn't be
I
terrible.
mean, a Flame Waker wouldn't have been that much better because we're not going to be pushing out any spells right now anyway. But there he is
Here's
anyway.
Flame Waker.
I'd probably cat first.
Cat, not Azure Drake.
I'm thinking if we cat, we can put Flame Waker out.
That's fair. But do we want
Depending
to
on-
put Flame Waker out without playing any kind of spell?
It just depends on what we pull.
That's good. I don't know how
Um,
many points we're
I,
up
th-
to.
I think I would probably Pyromaniac.
Do we Pyromaniac or do we just use our hero power to get more ticks on the Dragonhawk?
You only
I
need
would
2 left. So
I would Pyromaniac because we're not going to get much use out of him other
And
than
I'm
just
putting-
punching down armor.
I'm putting him on the left to play around the weapon, the Collider.
Okay. He's at 19 armor. This is already starting to get out of hand.
So this is Language Hacker's list, I believe. Seeing the Collider Oracles. This is. So can we just go off with Flame Waker?
I think so. I think you Flame Waker, Cinder Storm, and Arcane Missiles.
So we don't torch?
I don't think so.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, this is a lot of damage. Let's set the... It's really not a good place for it. we'll set it in the middle here. Flamewaker, Cinderstorm,
Yeah,
then Arcane Missiles.
I think so.
We just ship a bunch of damage to face.
Yeah.
I mean, against any other deck, we'd be getting ready to push for lethal, but he has not developed his quest at all. Black Cat, okay. Yeah, he's only
Second
got
shield
taunts.
slam.
Good. That's actually really good news.
So both slams are gone.
So he just Zola'd, so we need to make sure not to load up the board. So when we Jan'alai, we got to make sure we're not filling up too much. I want to use my hero power this turn.
Well, I think you use it on Zola.
Use it on Zola. Okay.
So you draw a card with Pyromaniac.
Yep. Then do we Firelands Portal one minion and then trade in with the Pyromaniac for the other?
I think so.
Okay, this only puts us at 3 on the board. Oh, that could be bad.
All right, so I was going to say...
He's going to be on a clock if he doesn't kill it.
He doesn't really have a choice. I don't know that it's necessarily...
But how does he kill it?
I don't know that he...
So burn Dr. Boone, Archivist. Oh, he burned Jaina. And he big game hunted it. Okay. Well, at least we know he played the other mind control tech. That's fine. He only burned 6 cards, which, well, we only have 5 left, so that's pretty substantial. I don't know if we can win this now. Do we just...
You know he'll brawl.
I was thinking we would trade in Pyromaniac into the mind control, ship Firefly to face, hero power the 4/2, and then go ahead and just lay Jan'alai down.
Sure.
I don't want to draw any more off of the Pyromaniac. I even thought about.
The problem is that you left Firefly on the board, so when he brawls now, there's a possibility we get Firefly.
I thought about trading the Firefly as well, and I probably should have. I know this list runs 2 brawls.
Yeah. If he doesn't brawl here, he's... Oh, that works too.
That's not terrible for us.
It is, because we don't have a way to finish him off now.
Well, he's lowered his attack. I like Flame Waker and double Forgotten Torch here.
Yeah.
Actually, do we throw in a Cinderstorm to try to clear the 1/4?
No. I think
So Flame Waker, Forgotten Torch to face first?
Yes.
Or we need to hit the minion, don't we? With one of them.
Sure.
Because that'll maximize
one, half
damage.
a dozen of the other.
Yeah,
Because,
it'll maximize damage.
Yeah.
Well, that gives us 2 more spells in our deck. We might be able to pace him out since he used a Reckless Flurry. Okay.
We burned the Polymorph Boar, so...
Yeah, but we have Roaring Torches. Oh, Arcane Blast. So, Azure Drake, Arcane Blast?
Yeah.
That'll hit for 4? So we Azure Drake first. Do we have to Arcane Blast first, just in case it goes away.
Right.
So Arcane Blast first. Hopefully the 2 shots hit it. It doesn't. So do we go with Cinderstorm next?
Sure.
That's 8 points of damage. There we go, yeah. This is a lot of damage. And double Fire Eater will make our hero power 6 damage in 1 turn.
But
okay, second Reckless Flurry.
Why would we want to do that unless it's for lethal?
Yeah, that's for it being lethal. That would be the reason.
So I think you go ahead and throw out Baku here.
Okay, hold on. So Roaring Torch is 6 damage.
Still only 12.
Oh yeah, but if we use 1 Fire Eater, that's 10 damage this turn.
I'm kind of in the Baku camp this turn.
Okay. This list runs 2 big game hunters. I do know that.
So if you do it your route and he just armors up next turn, we don't have a way to push damage because then it's another turn before Baku hits the table. If he doesn't have big game hunter, we smash with Baku next turn. There's a chance we draw the other Roaring Torch and he's dead.
That's fair.
And he's still got 10 cards in his deck, so.
Yeah. My thought was if we draw Black Cat next turn, we are guaranteed to draw into the Roaring Torch, and it'll be 7 damage.
Did we not lose Black Cat?
No.
Yes,
one of the
we did.
Lost Black Cat.
We played one, we burned one.
Yeah.
My deck tracker shows a Black Cat and a Roaring Torch.
Okay.
I mean, I could be wrong. And he brawled. Did he brawl that?
He did.
Wow, he brawled a 50-50. So we need to Fire Eater, Ping Face. That's happening, right?
Yeah.
Fire Eater, Ping Face is definitely happening. If my deck tracker is right, we'll draw on the Black Cat, but we won't be able to do both Roaring Torches and Black Cat and Fire Eater and Ping. So we need to use 1 Roaring Torch now, right?
It's 1 point of damage. I don't know that it's going to matter. So, yeah.
I think he might be out of reach now. Because he'll have an extra turn of hero power.
Yeah.
My play last turn didn't work because I didn't draw on the Black Cat.
I was going to say, had we played, well, he's definitely out of reach now.
Yeah, he's definitely out of reach now.
You might as well just go ahead and concede.
I want to see if this is Black Cat. Yeah, it is. Okay. I'm just doing it. I know it makes no sense to do it, but show him our cards. Yeah, that's a really bad matchup. That really is a really bad matchup. Now, we are playing in Wild.
Well,
so,
had we not had the Fell Reaver as our Firelands portal card, that game is completely winnable. And we probably would have won.
I agreed. A lot of our gusto was taken out. Now, I do want to take a little bit of time here because in Wild, it is very common to run into the same player when you queue back up. Okay. I actually played against Eve Taylor, Dr. Evil, 6 times from rank 1 star to legend. 6 times. It was pretty ridiculous, especially in the 5+ rank area. So I'm going ahead and queuing up now. But I wanted to give it a little bit of time to hopefully offset it. And it also, if you play the same person over and over again, it's not uncommon to get a friend request just because they want to see you so they can not queue against you again. They can wait till they see you in a game.
I would have liked to have gotten him again. Because I think if we don't burn Frostlich Jaina there, we probably win that game.
I would probably agree with you there. So this is Priest. The Polymorph Boar is going to get a lot of value.
I like that whole hand.
Just keep it?
I mean, what else are you looking for?
I mean, the Daring Fire Eater hero power kills a Barnes right off.
Right. Polymorph Boar for whatever he Barnes out.
Yeah, yeah. And this is likely big
Barnes Priest.
Yeah, Barnes, whatever you want to call it.
Since Matt's not here, I'll do it. # delete Barnes.
Yeah. Oh, clear pass. We're not going to throw out Fire Eater on turn 1.
No.
Pink
But
face.
I think you do coin out Pyromaniac. Make him have an answer.
Yeah. It could be a Shadow or Pain. Yeah.
So think of it this way: you're
But
basically
that gets rid of it.
I mean, the last 2 games, we have been putting out a Totem Golem on turn 2.
Yep. So what about Pyromaniac again? So if he does Barnes, we can draw a card off Fire Eater.
I like it.
I mean, it depends what Barnes pulls out. If Barnes pulls out a statue, then I'm going to want a Polymorph Boar. Ooh, nothing.
That's interesting.
So this is going face every time.
Yeah.
Do we just apply some pressure and Daring Fire Eater ping face?
No, I think you Firefly. I think
Black
you
Cat?
Firefly, ping face.
Okay, so double Firefly?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm thinking he's got Excavated Evil and he's trying to get the biggest bang for his buck out of it. We need to entice that out of his hand.
That's fair. This wouldn't be the greatest excavate turn for him.
No, but he's taking 5, 7. He's taking 7 a turn. So
we go face an Azure Drake because it plays around Excavated Evil.
Yep.
I love seeing spells with Flamewaker in her hand.
So we're in Dragonfire Potion range now. So if he's got a dragon, this will be potion.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Boar ping.
Yep.
We're ping.
That'll draw us a card.
Yep.
And we just ship it to face.
Yep.
And it dilutes his pool because that
Big
won't
time.
show up again.
I mean, he'll get a boar.
Oh, okay.
I mean, that we have to keep that in mind.
I was going to say that's a very important observation because
that's 4 burst damage that off of his res effects that we have to know about.
Okay, so I'm saying we put on the gas here. I'd say we put down Flamewaker, Black Cat, Arcane Missiles.
I don't hate it. The only thing I would think about is trying to get the Forgotten Torch going soon. Well, he's at 13. Never mind. Because I'd like to get Forgotten Torch so we have that 6 damage one in our deck, but he's really low.
I'm thinking Forgotten Torch is going to be better used in combination with Fire Eater to remove something rather than sending it face. And I don't think we're going to get a lot of value out of
I want to go
Arcane
face
Missiles.
with it.
So,
He's at 7. I really want to go face with it.
We have him like at lethal range. So
Wow.
you see what I'm saying?
And
that's
see, that boar is going to help him get rid of that. But still, he's at 9.
Right.
Flamewaker.
Hang on. Double Daring, Hero Power Face, and Forgotten Torch. That's lethal.
Yep.
Okay. I was looking at another line of Black Cat into Flamewaker, into Forgotten Torch, into Arcane Blast on our own Black Cat. I think that works too, but
Well,
either
that's
way.
a lot of mana.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't do the math on the mana. GG. Yeah, no, we had enough mana for that, but I'm trying to see if the damage. I think we might have been 1 off that way. I hadn't finished doing the manage.
Turns out a turn 2, 3, 4 is pretty powerful.
So this is where a quick Q can benefit us. Because we're actually pretty favored in that matchup unless he gets the nuts and we have no way to answer it. What are you chucking? Oh. I swear. I can't take you anywhere. He's chuckling about the nuts. He wants to make ball jokes.
You would know about that.
So this is probably a mirror.
Think so?
You're not seeing a lot of big spell mage in Wild. I mean, it's there. You could be Reno, but at rank 4, I don't know if we'd see Reno. You might see it in Legend.
So then, do we get big value out of Pyromaniac? I don't think we do. We're not on the coin.
Yeah,
Black Cat for the draw, I do like. So I say throw back Pyromaniac and Cinderstorm and keep Black Cat.
That's what I was thinking too. I don't think we'll get a lot of value from early. Ooh, a Daring Fire Eater might be good because we can ping off any 3 health minions, 4 health minions for that matter. Okay, so this is not.
Yeah, big spell mage.
So Firefly?
Yeah. We're going to test the waters.
So it's either Big Spell Mage or it's Reno Mage. I mean,
Yeah.
It could be Reno Mage. Or he didn't throw back his far left card. It could be Quest OTK. Actually, the OTK in Wild doesn't even use the Quest anymore. Ping Face?
Yeah.
I mean, there isn't a ton of heal unless this is Reno, so doing every damage counts
Yeah.
against Mage.
I'm just trying to think of where we use Flame Elemental.
So this looks like it could be tempo, but that's misleading
Right.
because they do utilize the Arcanologist in a control style mage.
So I think we probably Daring here and take
Ping it
Arcanologist
off?
out of the equation. Yeah.
Yeah. If we could preserve our minions as much as possible, make him use removal.
What I really wanted to do is ping the Fire Eater this turn instead of playing a secret.
Oh, you want him to? Yeah. I would agree. Make him make a choice between secret and pinging.
No. He's not even hovering over the secret, so it must have not been the one he wanted.
Either that or they just play it for ice block.
Oh no, there it is. Well, I kind of figured that he has ice block like that is. So I think here.
Black Cat Shooting Star after we run in.
Yeah. And I'm probably putting the Fire Eater into the Lackey.
Well, if we Shooting Star, we kill the
Shooting
Lackey.
Star is going to take care of it, yeah.
Yeah. So we run in first, though, right?
No, because if it's a Vaporize, I want to know. I don't think he's running it, but just on the off chance, I have been surprised.
You talk about runes?
Talking about secrets. Mad Scientist is going to put a secret.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So you want to try to pop it after. Gotcha.
Right.
Yeah, it makes sense. This could be Counterspell.
Right. And it is.
Well, there's runes.
Yeah.
And then I don't think he's going to main deck Vaporize. Wow, so now we need to put that into
Yeah.
and then go face.
Yeah. I don't think
that-
I don't think he main decks Vaporize either. I'm just saying if it's there, we need to pop it on one of these.
So that is either another Explosive Runes, Counterspell, or possibly.
Does the OTK run Explosive Runes? I don't think it does it?
No, this is not
Masked
OTK.
Contender. So Matt at Arms in our chat says he's positive this is tempo.
Yeah. Mass Contender says tempo.
Yeah. This may be tough. Cinderstorm?
At least we would pop it if it's Counterspell.
Yeah, I want to pop it before we we
I was
want
curious
to
to say,
play our
yeah,
Firelands portal.
we definitely want our Firelands portal or our Polymorph 4 to go off.
So do we Cinderstorm now?
I think so.
It went off. One more. There we go. So go to face and ping the contender.
Yep.
So I would not be surprised if this is duplicate. But I'm okay giving him
More mass
Contender?
contenders. Yeah.
I mean, they're pretty much just 2/4 bodies that thin out his deck.
So pretty sure that other one is explosive runes, and we can be pretty sure that one of them is ice block.
Ice block. Could it be mirror entity, or I've seen a lot of potion of polymorph, at least a one of.
All right, so we're both on the clock now.
Yep, we don't have any weapon removal. Do we polymorph bore our own 4/2, our own Firefly?
I actually don't hate that.
I mean, we're going to run him first, obviously.
Yeah, and then hit him again for 4.
We've not seen any elemental, so we don't have to worry about any blaze ballers or anything as excess damage. I don't have a problem with that. I don't know what else we would use it on.
Yeah. So bore, and then do we
Power
ping
Face.
Arcane Missile?
I think so. I think we push as much face
Get,
as possible.
get this
pressure.
damage going.
Apply pressure.
Firelands Portal is going to happen next turn.
Yeah, and I don't know that he's necessarily going to put anything on the board that we want to hit with it, because he's just going to trade it into the board.
I mean, he might play the Crystal Runner.
Right, but, I mean, he trades it into the board, right?
I would think so, yeah. We'd chip the board to face. If we can get board to go to face and Firelands Portal, he's at 2.
He's got to get rid of the board.
Ooh, this is if he gets a counter spell out.
That's probably counter spell.
It almost has to be, right?
Yeah.
So we want to draw a cheap spell. He doesn't kill the boar.
I believe that he went face with that.
He didn't kill the boar.
I'm sending the board to face.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have to Firelands Portal here just to pop it?
I think we Pyromaniac, Flame Elemental.
Pyromaniac's going to die from runes. We know that.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. We pop the runes. Actually, no. I say we put out the Flame Elemental and go ahead and take the damage.
Take the 4.
We're going to take
put us
4.
at 20, yeah.
Yeah.
So Fire Elemental into Pyro. Oh, it's a mirror entity. Oh, then maybe there isn't a Firelands Portal. There isn't a counter spell, maybe.
It is counter spell. He's just not running ice block.
Well, we played a spell earlier that didn't trigger.
And then, do we ping the? No, we didn't. Do we ping the Flame Elemental to draw a card, or do we just ship it to face?
Yeah,
I think we pinged to draw a card.
Second Firelands Portal. I wish we were on 9 mana next turn.
Sure.
If he can't kill us this turn, he has to clear our board. Makes me think he is. Yeah, he's got to be able to kill it. He has to.
I would love to get an Arcane Blast or...
What? Okay, so he's got it? No, he doesn't have it. Oh, that is 100% ice block.
Has to be.
Well, Arcane Blast on the Sorcerer.
So Arcane Blast on the Sorcerer Apprentice.
Yep.
Then we got to trade. Do we Firelands Portal a minion?
I think so. Yeah.
Because if this pops a counterspell, we win.
Right. But it didn't because
it didn't because we played the 1 mana spell.
Arcane Blast.
Oh yeah, that's true. I probably should. I don't know. We had to clear. Yeah, I think he might have us over 2 turns.
No,
because he's got ice block.
Yeah. Yep. That was smart by him just to push face. Oh, he made Dex.
Oh wow, nice.
Cool. I like seeing ingenuitive stuff
All
like
right. 1 and 2.
that. Yeah, not bad. I mean, wild is exactly that right now. It is absolutely wild. It is. Everybody's here. Everybody is playing. Everybody is trying to get up to top 100. I've heard a lot of Team One Trick and a lot of the wild exclusive players say they love the wild ladder right now because there's so many people in there, and instead of the meta changing by week to week, it's actually changing sometimes day to day, and it makes it fresh. So I thought I'd hear a lot of complaints over the oversaturation of standard players in wild, but so far it's been nothing but positive.
Yeah, that seems to be what I'm seeing on Twitter as well, as everybody's being pretty positive about it and having a lot of fun with it at the same time. So,
which if people are positive about it, Blizzard sees that, and maybe we start seeing. We said this when we first started the podcast, a number of years ago, that it's going to take it years to happen, but eventually a legacy type format like Magic did will come out and be competitive. And I predicted year 5, and we're getting close to that in the esports part of it. So maybe next year is the year we start seeing more wild focus. That'd be nice.
Yeah. All right. You guys have any last minute things you want to throw in before we call it a night?
Little off topic. I do know that there are some crazy weather things happening across the country. Check in with your family members, especially if they live out of state. There are some areas of the country that are getting snow and getting extremely cold weather, like in the 30s in southern Florida, where they're not used to it. Make sure they're fine. Make sure nothing crazy is happening with them. Just check in with your family this week while the weather starts to change. And in general, it's always good to keep in touch with your family because you never know when things happen.
Okay.
All right.
I was just going to say we're working on a special guest for next week, so stay tuned for more information.
Oh, it's going to happen.
It'll be a fun show. So
I talk to that possible person daily, so you just tell me, and I'll make sure they are there.
All right. Well, with that said, if you guys have any questions or comments about the show, please email us at heropowerpodcast@gmail.com. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button below on YouTube if you've not done so already, or give us a follow on Twitch to be alerted when we go live. For more details about our Patreon, check out patreon.com/heropower. And until next week, good gaming.
Bye, guys.
See ya.